return. How we feeling? Aloha, ohana, things like that. Man, I'm excited to be here. I'm pumped that it was Hawaiian night. I was just wearing this shirt today. How about that? That's not true. This was $2 at H&M, and it's horrible. Second time I've ever worn it in my entire life. But I'm excited tonight to talk about worship. Worship is something, it was actually my first job at Northside was doing worship. And so I feel really passionate about this. I also feel passionate about weapons. And so we're talking about worship as a weapon today. And has anybody in here ever actually been in a fight before? Been in a fight? Yeah, can we lay hands and pray? No? I have never been in a fight in my life, and I like to keep that streak going. I'm not a big fighter, I'm not strong, and I'm not brave. And so my life has not been about fights. It's actually been about, this is embarrassing, sucker punches. I'm really good at sucker punches, right? Like when you're not ready for it, I'm like, gotcha, and then I run away really quickly. That's how I fight my battles, all right? Like I'm gonna write a song about it later. But I'm all about sucker punches, and mainly it's to my older brother, Jeremy. I don't know what it is about siblings, if you have brothers. I actually have a little brother who's not here right now. He's supposed to be here, and he just went to Alabama. He hates me that much, right? He like drove to Alabama. But brothers just know, and sisters too, they just know how to push your buttons. They do it on purpose, and they do it on the worst time, like at the worst time. Am I right? Y'all feel that a little bit? Like they just know what makes you the most mad, and then they do it at the time that you are already on that teetering edge. And there was a time that Jeremy and I had such a moment. It was like our worst, nastiest fight ever. It reached a boiling point, and it all was about the stupidest thing. It was about PlayStation. All right, I know it sounds stupid, but the Bales household was a PlayStation household. Get that Xbox out of here. We went PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3 to guess what? PlayStation 4. That's correct, right? We went all the way through. And the problem with the first PlayStations was that you could only have 2 players. Now, do the math with me, okay? Xbox, you could have 4 players. PlayStation, you could have 1, 2, and there was 3 brothers, which caused a lot of fights. And so my mom enacted a rule in the Bales household, which was simply this. You get to play for 1 hour on weekends. And if you don't, like they're non-transferable. So if you don't have your hour on Friday, it's not like you can play 2 on Saturday. If you don't play Friday and Saturday, you don't like hog them up and then use them all on Sunday. You got 1 hour per day. And if you didn't get it done that day, then you were done for the day. And so that would cause problems. And I can remember this one specific day, and I remember it because it was the scariest moment of my life. I came home on a Friday, and I knew on that Friday night that we had somewhere to go that night. My brother was in marching band, and we had to go to the football game, and I knew that we were going to have to leave at like 5 or 6 o'clock. And so in my mind, I'm planning my night out, and I think I'm going to go home, run in, and get my hour of PlayStation. And the Guitar Hero 2 had just come out. You guys remember Guitar Hero 2? Man, that thing was awesome. Like, if you have Guitar Hero 2, I will give you all the money for it. I would love to play it still. And it just came out, so I wanted to come home and play Guitar Hero 2 as like the most. And I get off the bus, and I run to my house, and I run up the stairs, and Jeremy's already home because he was in high school and I was in middle school. And I say, hey, Jeremy, what's up? And I run to my room, and I take my backpack off and throw it down there, and I run back out with the intention of going downstairs to the family room to play PlayStation, when all of a sudden I see something that was not the same as when I walked in. See, when I walked in, Jeremy was just sitting on the couch watching like Sports Nation or something, and when I walked back out, he was suddenly standing up and hurriedly walking towards the stairs, and I was like, hey, man, what you doing? And he goes, oh, hey, bud, I was just going to go play PlayStation. I go, oh, really? That's so strange. Like, I was going to go play PlayStation. And we had this moment where it was like a stand. Have you guys ever seen this meme right here? Casey put it up. This was it right here, all right? Like, Jeremy, I was like, you? Like, you do this. And we just like kind of had this like weird moment. And I knew what he was doing, that little liar. He saw me come in, and he goes, oh, no. Jacob's going to get down there and play for an hour. And by the time the hour's up, I'm going to have to leave. I'm not going to get any time. And so he stood up and tried to sneak his way down there. And I caught him. And I go, is that what you're doing? He goes, I don't have to tell you that. And I go, what gives you the right to go first? He goes, I'm older. I go, you're stupider, right? Like, and this is what happened. My older brother, we start to have this horrible conversation. And we start to go from like things that made sense in the conversation to slowly we start just attacking each other's character as humans, right? Like, and at one point, I'm pretty sure we were like, no, you don't care about the environment, right? Like, it doesn't even, I don't even know why that would make sense, but it was like, no, I love you. Like, it's this weird stuff. And he eventually gets to this point where he says, you know what, Jacob, I'm done with you. I'm going downstairs to play PlayStation. And he starts to take a step forward. And he had that moment, and when he took that step, my mind broke, all right? Like, it broke in half, and I thought, you can't, no, I didn't know what to do. And so in that moment, I said, oh, it's time to fight. This is what we're getting, now here, okay, backstory. 6th grade Jacob looked like a spaghetti noodle, all right? Like right here, it was just like, hello. Jeremy had just taken, literally, this was horrible. He had just taken a summer weightlifting class. And so this was the first time he had muscles. I remember one time he pushed me, and I was like, like Thor? Like what? Like who are you right now? And so I knew that there was no way that if I went up and was just like, meh, 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 I was not going to beat Jeremy. And so I said, I have to arm myself. I need a weapon. And I looked to my left, and I'm just standing in the hallway by the chair. Like I'm not standing next to a coat of arms, okay? Like I'm just standing in my hallway in Georgetown, Indiana. And I looked to my left, and there's just a pantry. I'm just like, cool. And I looked to my right, and there's a closet. And on the closet door hanging is a plastic hanger. And I was just like, jackpot, right? Like, this is the one. And I grab the hanger, and he takes a step forward, and I'm just like, Leroy Jenkins, here we go. And I just throw, boom, I throw it as hard as I can. And it's just like this moment where it just goes, and my eyes are like, yes. I was like, yes, get him. And Jeremy's like, this doesn't compute. What's happening right now? And it is a direct hit on my older brother, Jeremy. Right in the chest. And in my mind, I'm like David and Goliath. I'm like, yeah, right? Like, I did it. But here's the deal. It didn't hurt him at all. Surprisingly enough, plastic didn't kill him, right? Like, he was still there. And it just hit him, and it bounced off, and I was just like, yeah. And I stopped, and I was like, oh. Like, you're still standing. And he kind of looked down at the hanger, looked back up at me, and his face started to change. And you guys know those cartoons where steam comes out of people's ear. They base it off of this moment in my life where Jeremy was just like, ugh, and he starts to have this like Hulk moment, and my face goes like, ugh, and I start to run. I turn around, and I run to my room, and I lock the door, and I hide in my closet, and I think, oh, he's not coming in here. And then I hear one of the scariest noises of all time. Jeremy has run down the hallway and has begun to bang on the door, and he's saying, I'll kill you. And I go, I know. And I'm just like, and he's just banging, and I grab like a little Louisville Slugger bat, and I'm just like, like, here we go. And then, I swear to you, this is real. He starts banging so hard on this door, the wood starts breaking on the door. And I just standing there, and I'm like watching the wood break, and I think, this is it. This is it right now. It's like this scene of this movie right here, The Shining. You guys know, who's seen The Shining before? Anybody? It's rated R. Check your heart. So he, like Johnny, this is Jack Nicholson. He breaks through his door with an axe. And he's like, here's Johnny. I was just waiting for it. Here's Jeremy, right? Like, oh boy. And he's just banging on this door, and it is breaking. There's still a hole, like where the door is broken at my house right now. And when I give a tour of my parents' house, I'm like, and this is why I almost died, right? Like, look at this. And he suddenly stops. And he leaves the house, and I hear him slam his truck door shut, and I come out of my room, and I go and lock every single door to the house, and I'm just like, this is my castle. Like, no one's getting in here. My mom came home, and we got in so much trouble, and she said, no PlayStation for 3 months. 3 months. And she said, except Jordan can have all of your time. So Jordan, he's not here, but I hate you. He got all of my time right there. And here's the deal. I got into like, that was the stupidest fight of my life. It was this like the smallest, stupidest thing about Guitar Hero 2, which is not worth fighting about. And I got in a fight, and I knew I was going to lose it, but I chose a weapon, and I chose it poorly. And here's what we're going to talk about today. As we talk about worship as a weapon, you have to understand this, that there are battles in life that are actually worth fighting. And then we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But there's battles in life that are worth fighting, and you have to know what weapons you're going to use, and you have to know how you're going to fight those battles. And your weapon's important. You know, think about it. You've heard this phrase before, don't take a knife to a gunfight, right? Because everyone else around you is like shooting guns, and you're just like, oh, don't come over here, right? Like, I'll get you. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't sit down to a steak dinner and get out a spoon and be like, here, you would be crazy, okay? You wouldn't see tall guy Tyler up here with like a vacuum cleaner, that's crazy stuff, right? You wouldn't go fishing with a bazooka. No, that'd be awesome. That would be super cool. Earlier I told my wife, I go, should I use this joke at the return? And I go, should I talk about bazooka and fishing? And she goes, oh, a bazooka, that's the one you go like this. And I was like, that's a blow dart, all right? Like, a bazooka's a rocket. There could not be any more different. And the best part is, I said it to Kelsey this afternoon, and she said the same thing. Both of them said it. I was like, yo, you need to learn bazooka stuff. We all need to learn bazooka stuff. But we were talking about this, and your weapon that you use is so important to your battle. So important. And we're talking about this book in the Bible today that we hardly ever talk about, 2 Chronicles, but there's a story in here that's going to teach us so much about what it looks like to fight our battles and making worship the weapon we use. And so if you got your Bible with you and you want to open it up or you just want to know where I'm going to be at, I'm in 2 Chronicles chapter 20. 2 Chronicles chapter 20. And we're going to start in verse 2. In verse 2, it's pretty straightforward about what happens, okay? It's kind of a scary moment. It just says this. It says, messengers came and they told, ready for this name, Jehoshaphat. Yo, like, that's the name right there. And Jehoshaphat is this king of this nation called Judah. And they come to Jehoshaphat and they say, a vast army from Edom is marching against you from beyond the Dead Sea. And they are already at Hazezon Tamar, which is the craziest place ever. It's also named for En-Gedi. Now here's what happens. These three nations come together, okay? The Moabites, the Ammonites, and the Minites. They come together and they make this huge, vast army. And they say, hey, we're going to march on Judah and we're going to just absolutely destroy them. And messengers come to Jehoshaphat and they say, hey, dude, like there is a huge army coming towards you right now. And he's a king. And I don't know exactly how long he had been a king at this point. Just 3 chapters earlier in 17, he was named king. So I'm not sure what the time period is on that. But he becomes king. And some of this army's coming. And he has to accept in this moment, he's like, oh boy, this is a reality. Like there is a huge army coming to kill specifically me. Like they said, hey, we want to go kill Jehoshaphat. We want to go kill Judah. And he has to accept that there's this reality of a battle. And here's what I'm going to tell you right now. We have to accept that there is a reality of a battle going on around us. And it's not this battle of like someone's going to come up and like slap you, right? There's a battle. It's called spiritual warfare. It's this battle of the unseen. And it's not coming, right? It's not on its way. It is here right now. It is happening in this room as we speak. There's spiritual warfare going on in this room. And it's happening. It's here. In 1 Peter, it says that Satan is a lion and he's trying to devour. In John, it says that he is a thief who has come to steal and kill and destroy. When I was younger, I used to have these weird thoughts about Satan. I used to think like that verse right there would be like legit, he's going to come steal from me. Like I would be walking on the street and someone would come mug me. I'd be like, who are you? He'd be like, Satan. I'd be like, like it's true. The Bible's true. That's not what it means, right? It means this. It means he's coming to steal your joy. He's not coming to steal your wallet. He's coming to steal your joy. He's coming to maybe not kill you specifically, but he's coming to kill some dreams. He's trying to kill your hope. He's coming to destroy your image. He's trying to destroy your thoughts. He wants to kill and steal and destroy things about you. And in Ephesians, it says this as well. Ephesians 6 is this very famous verse about the armor of God, if you've ever heard it before. And it talks about how we have to arm ourselves against this battle. And right before they get into the specific armor, it says why we have to. And this is in verse 11 in Ephesians 6. It says, put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. For we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in the heavenly places. It says this, it says, you're not going to see this battle. This is against unseen enemies. This is against mighty powers in the dark world. And here's the deal. It's real. It's a reality of our lives. It even says this. It says you need to be able to stand firm against the strategies of the devils. And I think one of the biggest strategies of the devil is he wants to take your focus off of God however he can and put it onto anything else. Because if he can do that, if he can take God and put him as second place or third place or last place, he wins in that moment. And he wants to put your focus on a relationship more than on your relationship with Jesus. He wants you to focus on another person more than him. And here's the scary thing. Sometimes it can be a great relationship. It could be your marriage one day. And he's like, oh, focus on your marriage more than God. That's a win for Satan. That's scary to think about, right? But it's real. Satan wants you to worry about money. He doesn't want you to trust the biblical principle that he's going to provide for you. He wants you to worry about success and fame and your own name. He doesn't want you to be humble and not be prideful. He wants you to make your name great and not God's. Satan wants you to worry about your image and your worth. He wants you to look at yourself and hate it. He wants you to look at yourself or love it way too much. And he wants you to not know what God thinks about you and the truth about that. Satan wants you to think about the thing in this room right now that you're afraid everyone's going to know about. That addiction that you are hiding, that secret that you've kept for so many years, that one moment in your past that has defined you and has hurt you, and everything you've done has stemmed from that moment, and you should be forgiving them by now, but you're not going to do it. He wants you to think about that and base your life off of that one mistake, that one person, whatever, more than God. I could keep going, but I think it's obvious that there is a battle. There is a reality of spiritual warfare in your life right now. And when there's a reality, sometimes it can scare us. In fact, in Chronicles, 2 Chronicles 20, verse 3, it says this. It says, Jehoshaphat, he hears it, and the first thing it says is Jehoshaphat was terrified by this news. And maybe right now you just heard that, and you're terrified. Maybe every time you come to the return and we talk about this stuff, you're terrified. And you're like, oh, what if someone knows? What if I actually did it seriously? You're just scared about something. That's good news because we're going to talk about that. Because Jehoshaphat, he's terrified, but the sentence doesn't even end there. It says he was terrified by this news, and he doesn't just say he was terrified. Next chapter. It says he was terrified by this news, and he begged the Lord for guidance. He also ordered everyone in Judah to begin fasting. So people from all the towns of Judah came to Jerusalem to seek the Lord's help. I love this because in the middle of a battle, the first thing that he does is he turns to God. Like someone says, yo, dude, big army coming at you right now. What you gonna do? He's like, I'm gonna not eat. I'm gonna fast and pray. So if someone came to me right now, they ran off the street and they came in here and said, Jacob, there's like 20 guys outside and they're going to kill you. You know what I would do? Leave, all right? I would be like, you guys go that way. I'll go this way. I wouldn't just be like, oh, man. Because it's hard in the midst of a reality of a battle to turn your eyes to God because circumstances are so hard. And here's what I love about this. Jehoshaphat didn't let bad circumstances define a response to a good God. He didn't just let a moment that was like, oh, boy, this is super bad, say, God, what are you doing? He said, okay. Something's happened, and the thing I'm still going to do is worship. Jehoshaphat is described as a good king. He just loved God. And so in this moment where something horrible is going his way, an army that's literally trying to kill him is coming at him, he says, I'm still going to worship. That's what I'm going to do. And he didn't let a circumstance define his response to a good God. He didn't let circumstances define his worship. And here's the deal. We do a lot. Danielle and I try to eat healthy a lot. You might see us at the old Planet Fitness just dying, right? Because we're trying our hardest. I've been compared to a rabbit before because I love to eat like those green leaves and that's it. But we try to be healthy. But once a week we take a moment and we go out and we have a cheat meal and we just eat to our heart's content. I'm talking appetizers, I'm talking entrees, I'm talking dessert, all right? Like we get it all and it's amazing. And about a year ago, I was really into this dessert from Dairy Queen. It's called a fudge stuffed cookie. Have you guys ever heard of a fudge stuffed cookie before? You do now, all right? After this, I'm going to drive past Dairy Queen. It's going to be out the door. I can already see it. It is one of the greatest things ever. You ready for this? It is a cookie stuffed with fudge. Yes, all right? And when you open it up, fudge pours out of it. And on the other side, there's this big thing of vanilla ice cream with chocolate sauce on it. And you get a little ice cream. You get a little fudge cookie. You eat it. And God just says, this is heaven, right? Like, you're here. It is so good. And I remember one time, it was a Friday night. And we go after our cheat meal. We went to Cluckers. And we go after our cheat meal. We go to the Dairy Queen parking lot. And I get in line, this drive-through line. And I'm just having a great day. I'm like, man, I had my cheat meal. It is beautiful outside. The music is on. The windows are down. Danielle's right next to me. Like, it's just going to be such a great day. I'm like giddy about this cookie. I'm like, here we go. And I pull up to the thing, and the woman's like, hey, honey, what can I get you? And I say, can I get one of those fudge stuffed cookies, good lady? And she says, I'm sorry, but we're out until Monday. Now, a normal human would just be like, you know what, that's okay, not me. In that moment, like, I don't know what came over me, but audibly, out loud, back into the speaker, I go, are you freaking kidding me? My life sucks, all right? And Danielle's just like, babe, she's like, what are you doing? And this is like not when I was 18, this is like last year, right? Like I was like, are you kidding me? And she goes, excuse me? I'm like, medium blizzard, like that's all I want. And that moment, here's what happened. I let a circumstance define my response to this lady. Like she didn't do anything to me, but I was like, you are the worst. I'm talking to your manager. Like she didn't do anything to me. But a circumstance, it defined my response to this lady. In an instant, in 30 seconds, my life went from perfect to suckfest, right? Like, that's how it was. And here's the deal. Sometimes we worship based off of our circumstances and not our Creator. That's a problem. And the big problem with that is that circumstances change, God doesn't. Circumstances around you are always changing. You know who doesn't change? God. In this moment right now, you could have, like, your best life. You could be sitting here right now and you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm finally done with high school. That was the worst time of my life. Like maybe I'm in the best physical shape of my life. I have a job I love. I got into the college I like. Life is good. I've got a girlfriend or a boyfriend. I'm making money. Like things are just so good right now. And you guess what? If your life is really good like that, God is good. But in this moment right now, your life could be a train wreck. And your life could be the embodiment of not having a fudge stuffed cookie on a Friday night, right? Like you could be dealing with loneliness and depression, and you can feel like you don't have any friends, and you can be going through family stuff that I can't even imagine, and you can be going through mental health things, and you're just like, what is going on? This is not how life should be. Guess what? God is still good. Because circumstances change, but God doesn't change. He doesn't just flip a switch and say, I'm bad, God, now. It's not true. He is God, and he is good. And I love this because Jehoshaphat knows that. He knows that that's the truth. And he ends this prayer that he starts. He starts this prayer and says, like, God, you are so good. You're so amazing. He ends this prayer, and he says this in verse 12. He says, oh, our God. He says, won't you stop them, this army? He says, we are powerless against this mighty army that is about to attack us. We do not know what to do, but we are looking to you for help. Let me just say that last line again. You ready? He says, we do not know what to do, but we are looking to you for help. He says, God, we're powerless. We can't do it, but you can. That is a great way to live, y'all. To have this moment that says, I don't know what I'm doing right now, God. I don't know what's happening in life right now, but you do, and my eyes are on you. And they have this big moment of prayer, and they finish with that line right there, and it says at that moment there was a guy who suddenly God began to speak through, and God says, hey, nation of Judah, you're good. I've got this. Tomorrow, you're going to go to this battle, and you are going to win. The victory is yours. It's going to be okay. Have a great day. And everyone's like, yes. And you know what they do? They don't just like forget about God. They continue to worship because they know circumstances don't define their worship. They say, this is perfect. And then it says they bowed low and they continued to pray. And after that, this is what it says. It says the next day happens. And in verse 20, it says, early the next morning, it says the army of Judah went out into the wilderness of Tekoa. And on the way, Jehoshaphat stopped and he said, listen to me, all you people of Judah and Jerusalem. Believe in the Lord your God, and you will be able to stand firm. Believe in his prophets, and you will succeed. And after consulting the people, the king appointed singers to walk ahead of the army, singing to the Lord and praising him for his holy splendor. This is what they sang. Give thanks to the Lord, his faithful love endures forever. And at the very moment, ready for this? They began to sing and give praise. The Lord causes the armies of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir to start fighting among themselves. I want you to imagine this really quickly. You're going to a battle, and you're marching, and suddenly the king's like, stop. Where's the choir at? All right, like, where are our choir? And where is Tyler Yoss? All right, that's like, we have warriors. Where are the skinny jean wearers? Like, that's who I want up front right now. I can say that because I am one, all right? And he says, I want them up front. He goes, I want the singers up front. And you know why he could do that? Because he knew what he was marching to. It says, at that moment, these three armies began to fight against each other. And they fight so much that this army reaches this lookout point, and they look out because they're afraid probably, and they see what they're going to see this army. And they look out, and all they see is dead bodies. And the Bible says that not a single enemy got away that day. The entire army, these 3 armies that came together, is completely gone. And the reason Jehoshaphat said, we're going to worship first, we're going to lead with worship, is because he knew he was marching to a victory. He wasn't marching for a victory. He was actually marching from a victory. I went to a church this weekend, and they said that phrase, and I thought, man, my life needs to be built around that, because so often we live for a victory. We live to say, man, if I can just win this battle, if I can just do this. And like that song said, it says, this is how I fight my battles. But guess what? The battle has already been won. It's overcome. We can march from victory. We can live from victory. And when you know that you have victory, you live differently. You live differently. I remember one time I used to work at JC, which is like Little Kroger, if you don't know what that is. And I worked in the deli. And when I was in college, I had to work one Saturday, and it was the Louisville, Kentucky basketball game. And if you know me, I'm a huge Louisville fan, like sucker punch you Louisville fan, all right? Like, I won't fight you, but I will sucker punch you. And so I love Louisville, and I have to work on this game day, and I'm like, oh, no. Like, I really want to watch this game. And so I DVR it, and I go to work, I turn my phone off. Every customer that walks up that has Louisville or Kentucky on, I'm like, don't tell me. I don't want to know a thing. They said, okay, my lips are sealed. And we're getting to the end of the night, and one person walks up who I kind of know, and he has all Louisville stuff on. And I'm like, hey, man, just so you know, like, I don't know how the game ended yet. It's at home, my DVR. Like, I've gone this far. Please don't ruin it for me. He goes, okay, I won't ruin it for you, but I think you're going to like the way it turns out. And I was like, dude, like, what do you mean? Of course you just ruined it. I go, tell me the score. And he was like, 73-70. And I was like, thank you. Like, I appreciate that. And I was heartbroken because I'd done such a good job. But at the same time, I was excited. So I go home, and I see it in my DVR listening. I'm like, should I watch it? And I'm thinking, yeah, so I can, like, talk about certain aspects of the game with my friends and bash Kentucky fans. And so I'm starting to watch the game, and it was so weird. There was moments where Kentucky was winning, and it didn't bother me. And usually, I'm a type of guy that I'm watching sports, I'm like a nervous wreck. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what are they doing right now? But Kentucky would go ahead in the game a little bit, and I'd be like, that's all right. And at halftime even, Kentucky was winning. And most times I'd be like, man, we got to make adjustments. Like, what is Rick Pitino doing? Like, what is going on right now? And it didn't bother me. I would watch Louisville players make mistakes on the court that usually I'd be like, man, you are a college athlete. How are you doing that? And it didn't bother me. And we get to the end of the game, and it's the final few minutes, and it's a really close game, and it can go this way or this way. I'm not sure how it's going to go. But it didn't bother me. You know why it didn't bother me? Because I already knew who won the game. I already knew that Louisville was going to win, and so it was fine. All those moments where it felt like we might lose, all those moments where usually it would hurt, usually it would feel hard in my life that Louisville was losing, it didn't matter to me because I knew who won. And I hope you get what I'm saying, that there might be days where you feel like you're losing. And there might be days where you feel, it looks like you are losing the battle. But let me tell you right now, you're not, because we know who wins. Jesus died on the cross, we win. Jesus came back to life, we win. Satan one day gets thrown into a fiery lake, all right? That's the Bible, there it is, like, spoiler alert. We win. And so now you can live from a victory and not for a victory anymore. Can you imagine if you live your life like that? Can you imagine if you said, I don't have to fight like I have to earn it. I can fight because I already know I won. These things inside of you that you feel like you have to fight with every single day, these strategies that Satan is using against you every single day, where you just feel beaten down, you feel burdened, you feel like you're not enough, you feel like you're not good enough, you feel all these different things. Can you imagine if you said, I know the ending, I know the score, and so I can fight differently. I can worship. I can lead with worship like Jehoshaphat did. And he does that. And here's what I want to be so clear about. Worship is so much more than just singing. Like, singing is great because it brings people out of their comfort zone. I think that's why we sing, is because a lot of us don't want to sing, but God's like, hey, get out of your comfort zone for me. And I love that. Some of us are great singers. Some of us are horrible singers. But worship is so much more than that. Romans 12:1, it says this. It says, therefore I urge you, brothers and sisters, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Don't miss that. It says, offer your bodies as living sacrifices. This is your true, proper worship. I love the way the Message puts this. It says this. It says, so here's what I want you to do. It says, God helping you. Take your everyday, ordinary life. You're sleeping, you're eating, you're going to work, you're walking around life, and place it before God as an offering. Embracing what God does for you is the best thing you can do for him. Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. It says this, instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. What if we live like that? And not just the moments where we sing. Are we saying, you know what, we won, we did it, I can put my hand in the air, I did it. What if you lived every single day like we have a victory? What if in the moments that we are singing, you said, I have a victory, I can do this. These words aren't just words that we're just hoping for. Like, this is the truth. This is exactly what I want. What if you said every single day, I'm going to live as a living sacrifice? What if you said the most boring parts of my day that I wish would just pass by, I'm going to make those a living sacrifice for God? What if the days that are your best days and you're loving it and it feels like nothing can stop you, those are for God, and your worst days, where you wish it was over before it even started, those were for God too? What if you used worship, how you live every single day, to fight your battles, a battle that you already know is yours to win? I want to end with a quote from a pastor that I have the utmost and deepest respect for. It's a man that I want to live like one day because he embodies this, and it's from this guy. His name's Ben Woods, and he says this. He says, our weapons are praise. It says our weapons are prayer, our weapons are faith, our weapons are God's words, and no power of hell can stand before our God. And he can say that because he knows that we have the victory, and he's going to live like it. Let me pray for us really quick. God, we love you. God, thank you for, God, silly stories from my past, God, that have meaning. That I can see now that you've redeemed. God, thank you for the stories in this room that are going to be redeemed. God, thank you for giving us musical worship, time where we literally focus only on you. And God, we get distractions out of the way and we just focus on singing words that are just here to praise you. But God, I pray that worship doesn't end when the music stops. And that, God, we in this room, we live every single day as worship. And God, that we do that because we know that we have a victory. We know that we can't lose. We're not worshiping for a victory, God. We're worshiping from a victory. And God, I pray that we every day, we use worship as a weapon. Lord, we love you. It is in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Hey, we're gonna